Challenging the banking model of education, rethinking school curriculum. If education is meant to awaken minds and foster critical thought, then why do so many classrooms still operate as if students are empty vessels, passively waiting to be filled with knowledge? Why do we treat learning as a transaction rather than a transformation, where teachers deposit information into students who are expected to store it, recall it, and repeat it back on command? Could it be that this very structure is designed not to liberate, but to control, to create compliance rather than curiosity? If education is to be a force for change, then shouldn't we abandon the banking model and replace it with an approach that values dialogue, exploration, and mutual learning? What happens when students are treated as co-creators of knowledge rather than passive recipients? In traditional classrooms, authority flows in one direction, from teacher to student, implying that knowledge is static, objective, and owned by those in power. But what if classrooms were structured as spaces of collaboration, where students engage in real dialogue, contribute their lived experiences, and challenge ideas rather than merely absorbing them? If we know that true understanding comes not from memorization, but from questioning, analyzing, and reinterpreting information, then why do we still expect students to sit quietly, take notes, and repeat answers rather than engage in genuine inquiry? Emotional intelligence, EQ, tells us that deep learning happens in environments where students feel seen, valued, and engaged. A child who is told to listen rather than question, to accept rather than explore, to memorize rather than debate, will not develop the confidence to think independently or challenge injustice. But when students are encouraged to bring their own perspectives into the learning process, to critically examine systems of power, and to engage in meaningful discussion, they develop not just intellectual ability, but the courage to apply it in real-world contexts. If education does not give students a voice, how can we expect them to use their voices beyond the classroom? And what about multiple intelligence theory? If students learn in different ways, through storytelling, movement, collaboration, logic, or hands-on exploration, shouldn't classrooms be designed to reflect this diversity? The banking model of education assumes that learning happens in one standardized way. But what if we embraced a dialogical approach where students construct knowledge through interaction, discovery, and multiple forms of expression? Shouldn't learning be a dynamic process that encourages students to think, speak, and engage rather than simply absorb? If education is truly about liberation, then we must ask, are we teaching students to be thinkers? Or are we training them to be receptacles for predetermined knowledge? What if classrooms were places where students and teachers learned from each other, where ideas were not imposed but explored, where learning was a shared journey rather than a one-way transfer of information? Wouldn't that create a society where people are not just informed, but critically aware, not just knowledgeable, but capable of transforming their world? If we continue to treat students as passive recipients rather than active participants, then education is not about empowerment, it is about control. So the real question is, are we filling minds or are we opening them? Because if we want education to be a path to freedom, then we must abandon the banking model and embrace a new way of learning, one built on curiosity, dialogue, and the shared pursuit of knowledge.